Think about who you're applying to and what are they actually looking for as part of their recruitment process. As I mentioned, when we do have the number of volume of applications at once, you do want to think about how I might be able to make my application stand out. We are all unique, so there is something to think about before you prepare your application as to what is unique about me that might interest the people I'm applying for. We do look for well-rounded people. All firms look for something different, and even each of our offices will look for slightly different things as well. So make sure that you're honest in your application. Don't try and say you're something you're not. Think about the type of legal career you want. Is working in private practice actually what you want? Or are you more suited to an in-house or a government policy writing role? So do think about the type of career you do want and the type of firm you want to work for, because we are all different. Not everyone necessarily suits large firms or even small firms. So think about and explore and do a bit of research into the type of firm you might want to work for, or what might suit you and your style and personality. And so do your research. Okay. Yeah, so I touched on the research side. Do your research. Think about the type of firms that fit with either your values or what you might talk to some lawyers in some of those firms, or just within your own networks. And then understand what their application process is. Some firms are all largely doing this sort of recruitment at the same time, but there will definitely be some firms that don't go with the the bulk of the firms, and might go later in the year. So make sure you're alive to the different times that each of the firms might be recruiting for and when they do advertise. And then make sure you're diarising when those key dates, particularly around opening and closing, and making sure you meet those deadlines. When we've got applications in the numbers around the 600 or 700 mark, it's really difficult for us to make compromises around people that might have missed deadlines, because there are so many other more candidates that actually have met your deadline and are able to work to a timely manner. So that's all part of our assessment. And we have to draw the line somewhere. So you don't want to be missing your deadline, because it's not setting yourself up for success. So in terms of your cover letter, this is actually a really important part of your application. Many partners will look at the way in which you write, and so don't overlook this or this part of the process. Do keep it short, so not too long, and no more than one page. Make sure you're addressing your letter to the right person, and set out what you're looking for, what really interests you. Make this the individual part of your application, because the CV can become, dare I say it, a bit more generic, but this is where you can add some creativity to catch the attention of those that are shortlisting or screening your application. Keep your language positive, and I think it's important not to necessarily repeat what you might have read on the firm's website, but it is still important that you have read the website to understand a bit more about that firm. Keep your language simple, so don't try to avoid sort of the common cliches or even legalistic, old-fashioned. Use plain English language. And I think what's really important, and I don't know how many times I see it, and it's not just in graduate applications, but it does appear more commonly, but receiving applications that are addressed to another firm. One, it doesn't sit that well that you're addressing it to the wrong firm, but two, it shows your attention to detail, and attention to detail is one of those key points in a lawyer, doesn't matter what level you are, but attention to detail is such an important part of being a successful lawyer that so you do take the time to get that part right. And make sure you've got that balance between being enthusiastic through to being assertive and confident in your letter. In terms of your CV, look, there are a range of different templates out there. Do try and keep it to, no more than sort of three pages. And there's just some suggestions on this slide as to what you might have on the first page around your education, your academic achievements, and what you're involved in. And then in page 2, some of your work history, what you like to get up to outside of your studies and your life and your personal life, and who might be your references. It's really useful to sometimes think about your layout in terms of using columns, bullet points, so it's simple and easy to read. Don't try and squash too much on just to get it onto the 2 pages. So think about your font size and that it's readable, and that you've got sort of some nice white space as well in the visual, just so that it's easier reading. Photos. We often get asked the question about, should I include a photo or not? There's no right or wrong answer to that. When you're reading through, up to 600 or 700 CVs, it's often useful to have something that captures your attention, or you're able to recall a particular candidate. So a photo can often be useful, but if anything, there's no hard and fast rule about using a photo or not. But if anything, please use a photo that looks professional rather than something where you might be lying on the beach or out with friends celebrating or at a party. So just think about the photo that you are using and that it's a respectable professional photo, considering the role that you're applying for. All right, so just to wrap up my session, yeah, as I mentioned, do your homework and don't leave it to the last minute. Start thinking about it now, and prepare for what you want to put into your CV. As I mentioned, don't regurgitate everything that you read on our website and try and cram that into your cover letter. That's the opportunity for you to stand out and put into your cover letter a bit more about who you are personally that might not otherwise go into, say, your CV. Use someone like Now in your career service to perhaps sense check your cover letter and CV. They obviously are busy people, but so again, I wouldn't leave that to the last minute. And but they are also good, I guess, people to give you some expert advice in that space as well.